All right, we're live now. Okay, so welcome to the July 27th Idea Share from Key Ministry. I'm Beth Golik, and Catherine Boyle is here as well, our Director of Mental Health Ministries. And we will just jump right in. What is new this week? What does everybody have to report? I know a few of you had some exciting things last week. So what's going on in your neck of the woods? Anyone?
We've had a couple weeks of in-person service under our belts.
Indoors? Indoors in person?
Yeah,
okay.
But socially distanced and masking. And so our staff meeting this morning, a lot had to do with, we have some key volunteers that are whole families, so counting for a lot of people that are adamantly against wearing a mask. And so we're dealing with how to have a conversation about that, because we see it as a service to our families to help them feel safe and all of that. It's not about, and coming under the authority of our government. And yeah, just dealing with that in a loving way. Is really throwing a challenge at us. So.
Yeah, a little challenge you didn't expect. So did you have like children's ministry, special needs ministry, or was it strictly like a service in a sanctuary type setting?
So we had, the auditorium was, socially distanced, but then we also have, on Sundays, we have what we're calling our family worship service, where the kids worship with their parents, but like we're saying, you're welcome. Like if your kids are making noise and everything, we're just going to keep rolling. We have squares that are taped out on the floor, that each square is also 6 feet apart, all of that. So that's what we're.
Is it a reservation system?
Yes, but it's not like they have to show us that they reserved a space. It's just for planning purposes.
Okay. All right. And you're Ohio, correct?
Right.
You're
Exactly.
Are you Columbus or Cincinnati? Cincinnati. Okay. Okay. All right. So in Ohio, we do have a mask mandate. So interesting. Okay. All right. Anybody else that was back in person? No, we had the outdoor service again. We're still streaming everything, but we did have the outdoor. You could choose to attend in person. None of my families, special needs, the families that have special needs, I didn't see any of my families there, but it was hot. I mean, for those of you who are in Northeast Ohio, it was 90. So, all right. What else is going on? Yes, Julie.
So I was very excited to get together with our team, actually in person, to talk about special needs ministry. Last Thursday, we did one of those overall, okay, where are we going kind of meetings. And I was really, really thrilled. I thank you all for this, to be able to present to them the idea that not all the families are going to come back, and what are we going to do for them if they don't? Are we going to penalize them because they're not in the building? And so that was a really good conversation. And so I had typed up all the ideas that you all had shared about what you can do with driveway talk and all that, all the stuff that you guys have shared. And they were really excited about it. And especially the young mom who actually works with the adult ministry, special needs ministry. She was like, I can't wait to do these things with our families and with our adult ministry people. And so that was a real thrill. And then Virginia is way more open than a lot of you all are. And so we've been doing services for a while now, but only families, and nothing else in the building is open. Just come in, do worship, and go home. and they don't even want you to talk in the building. If you want to talk to people, talk outside. But this Thursday, we're actually hosting, it was a very last minute deal because it was last Thursday that we decided to do it. We're hosting a dinner for the special needs families. Anybody that wants to come, you know, we're doing it by invitation so that we can social distance, but we can probably do about 25 families with the room that we have. It's huge. You know, it's Thomas Road, it's big. So we're very excited about hosting that, and families are very excited to be invited, and we're getting a great response. So we've got tables that are going to be separated. Families are only going to sit at their table with their families. And then VBS is going on once a week on Wednesday nights instead of the whole week deal that most of us do. So we're doing it over a month period of time. And so the main hallway is all decorated. And it's huge, it's a huge hallway. So what we're gonna do is then take the families, or allow the families to go to each of the decorated stations and pick up like sort of like a trick or treat, you know, and pick up some kind of a little gift or candy or something from each of those stations. So I'm really excited about it. I'll be happy and fun. It'll be fun to report on Monday to see if we're meeting this Monday, I don't remember, you know, to see how it goes. But we're really excited about doing it, and the families are thrilled to be able to be together.
That's great. So you're doing a group event, but oh, my internet's not good today.
So shall
Doing
we
a group event, but keeping families by table. So you're doing the social distancing that way.
Yeah,
Great.
and all of the servers are going to wear gloves and masks.
Okay.
So we'll be, you know, the staff it's required for staff, but in Virginia it's not required for every person. So
Wear masks.
to wear the mask, yeah, but we will.
Okay. And so like about how many volunteers, you know, staff or volunteers do you expect that this will take?
We'll probably have about 10 volunteers to pull this off. And some of them are actually the adult special needs people, which is really cool because they get the opportunity to serve, to serve, and they need to do that too, and they want to do that. So this is a great opportunity for them to do that.
That's wonderful. And just like, because I like to know the logistics of these things, what are you serving and how are you getting the food there?
Christian chicken.
Chick-fil-A, Christian chicken. Okay, so Chick-fil-A, a bag of chips, a bottle of water. There is no handling of food whatsoever. It's all self-contained. Okay. And then for dessert, though, I think that they are going to put ice cream at each of the tables. They're going to go to make their rounds out to do their little trick-or-treat thing, and then they're going to come back to the table for dessert. And they might have like a make your own sundae for each table, so that there'll be containers, and then we'll throw it all away when we're done.
Okay, so again, just keeping it by family. Okay, excellent. Well, I can't wait for the report on that one. All right, who can top that?
So I don't think I'm gonna top that, but we just did last week our summer camp, which was mostly like a live stream virtual. But we did have from 1 to 3 o'clock every afternoon optional park activities at 4 parks in town. And we didn't really know how it's going to go because a lot of people are not leaving their house, which a lot of people didn't. But those who did come, it was just really nice to see, like, people just really enjoyed seeing each other in person. Kids did great with keeping their masks on, actually. Like, there was we didn't have a whole lot of mask problems. The volunteers did a great job as well, and the parents were all really happy. Like, one day I just talked to mostly parents who were just happy to see other humans like in person and have a reason to get out every day, because there's really nothing happening here.
Bronwyn's in California, for those of you who don't know, so they're still pretty much locked down.
Yeah, so I think we did like the very most we could do to encourage interaction. We had like Otter Pops there every day, and there's like a snow cone truck in town that usually goes to like the major events in town, but since there's no major events, they came to us. They rotated parks, and so that was popular. Yeah, the kids, I feel like most of the kids, the inclusion kids, a lot of them stayed home, which I anticipated, but those who did go to the park, their buddies really did a good job to like wear their mask, maintain social distancing, but like create a relationship. So one girl, she had a kindergartner buddy, and she made like puff paint t-shirts, matching puff paint t-shirts for both of them, like for the week. Someone else like brought like candy for their buddy and like made, like there's all kinds of creativity happening. But yeah, I was pleased. Yeah, we're pretty tight down here. And last week they also made the announcement that most every school in our county and surrounding counties are all starting distance learning. So I think people were equally excited to go see people in person. So yay for doing something that was not on a computer. That was great. And I know Doc did a summer camp last week too. So I'm
about that as well.
yeah.
Yeah. So, excuse me. I'll go ahead and jump in then. Thanks, Bronwyn. We did our summer camp last week. It was Soar Party at your house. It was a great week. We had 77 campers from 6 different states participate in it. So that was pretty cool. With it, they had 2 to 2.5 hours of video programming that they could do anytime throughout the day. It premiered at 9 a.m. and then they could do it anytime. And actually they have access to that for an entire month right now. We've gotten just incredible feedback from all the families. We also had, with all that included our main story. We took the VBS curriculum from Ryan Wolf. I blanked on the name of it, but thank you, Ability Ministry. It's been one of my brain's still mush. And then we took that curriculum and then we adapted it. We added a lot more to it and kind of took it on steroids. And then we did a whole story with it. Uncle Charlie with Valued by God did our worship for us. Tony and his group and son did our fitness. We had some games. We had crafts every day. We told the families what they needed for the craft projects. We had sensory projects. Again, told the families what they need and just got tremendous response from it. Our ages were 3 years old to 52 years of age. And then every day we also had a 30-minute Zoom room that broke out by age and everything for everyone. And those were a lot of fun. In those Zoom rooms, we worked on learning our Bible verse. So by the end of the week, pretty much 100% of our campers pretty much learned their Bible verse, which was really cool to watch. And then we did other fun games through the week in the Zoom rooms, like scavenger hunts, karaoke, dance party revolution, some trivia games, and different things like that. So it was just a great response. A lot of the parents got involved with it and they really enjoyed it. They didn't think they would, but they found themselves wanting to come to the camp just as much as their kids did. So it was a great week for us and we really loved it. And I think it's going to be something that we may end up doing both as we move forward, having a virtual camp and then having a in-person camp as well as we do things moving forward. We're now in the process of getting ready for a few more things. Obviously, our next huge event will be our Wonderfully Made conference in October, getting ready for that. And while I've got everyone here, I just want to make a pitch for you guys. I'm going to be doing a talk on, because one of the big things everyone wants to see at any disability conference is take a tour of that facility. Well, we can't do that being in person. So, you know, I got the idea of, I'm going to do an entire talk on disability ministry tour. And I want to get 6 disability ministries from all over the country, all different sizes, take 10 minutes, and they'll get to showcase their disability ministry, give a tour, let everyone see what it looks like. But we're having such a great response with that. As we're dreaming with it, we're going to take it even a step further with that, go beyond the conference. And we're going to design, you know, we've got a lot, you know, Key Ministry and a bunch of others have, you know, everything listed of where all the disability ministries are. But we're going to start a thing on our site where disability ministries can actually have a video space where they can give a tour of their ministry, which will be great for other ministries to see what things look like, but then it'll also give families a great opportunity to check you out before they come. And so we're going to get that all lined up by states and everything. So if you're interested in participating in that, just let me know. We'd love to have you. We'd I think it would be awesome if we could get every disability ministry out there to, have a 10-minute video on there. But if you're also interested in be part of my talk, let me know with that. Next things we're trying to do. Oh, and one of the things I should have said with the camp, one of the things I had the most fun with was I got to deliver about 50 t-shirts to campers in town. Instead of mailing them, I decided to drive and deliver them in person. I took my daughter and she did chalk drawing on the driveways for them and wrote comments like, you're loved by SOAR, or SOAR loves you, smiley faces and rainbows and things like that. And then and then we had the shirts all packaged up. We made temporary tattoos for all the campers as well, and so delivered those to them and just got a tremendous response with it. Pretty much social distance, all except for one camper. One camper saw me and she couldn't help but run out and give me a big hug with that. But it was a great response. Our families they said they actually appreciated that more almost than the camp itself. So again, if there's any way you can just even do anything like that, it's huge. It was cool to see all the response on social media of the pictures. Yeah, there's the picture. That's the girl who came out running to me to give me a big hug. She couldn't wait to see me with that. But it was a lot of fun. I was all masked up as I went out with it. But what we're wanting to do now, moving forward, we've got about 4 different projects we're working on. One is we're going to start doing some other Zoom events. This was such a success with our Zoom rooms. We're going to start doing some regular events, age appropriate, where like for our adults and teens, we'll do maybe an hour in an evening where we'll do, karaoke or Dance Party Revolution, just let them all take turns and have fun. Our elementary kids do, scavenger hunts, add that to it along with everything else. But then our preschoolers, what we're going to do, I found a friend of mine who, as we were talking, I wanted to just be able to read some books and do some things, something short, 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes for a preschooler. Well, his hobby is dressing up as Cat in the Hat and reading to kids. So he's actually going to come on with us and dress up as Cat in the Hat, read Cat in the Hat books to our kids. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun for them and just a way that they can do something different. Hopefully it's going to be another way that we can give parents a tiny little bit of respite while, they don't have to be there right there on top of the kids without us actually, being in their house there with them. So that's one of the low hanging fruits we're going to do. Next thing is we're going to do a reverse parade. We're going to get with a high school, use their parking lot, trying to get their marching band set up, their cheerleaders, get all of our volunteers out there, a lot of business people in line both sides, everyone cheer as our families drive through, we cheer them on. And at the end of it, we want to give each kid a popsicle, at the end. So again, it's going to be very cheap for us, get the big box of popsicles at Sam's. And we're probably going to do that just before school starting here. So end of August is what we're looking at for that. Other thing we want to do is I'm looking for a business to help us, but the in-person thing was such a success with the shirts. We're going to get yard signs made that say, we're loved by SOAR Special Needs, and we're going to go and plop those in everybody's yard. And then I just picked up 1,800 pieces of sidewalk chalk, and we'll have our volunteers go out in force. And one Saturday, we'll do as many families as we can and go and chalk their driveways, put signs in their yards, and just let them know they're loved on. And then the last thing we're going to do is, again, looking for some business partners to come alongside. We've got 2 drive-in movie theaters in our area, one on the Missouri side, one on the Kansas side. I want to be able to rent those out because our families aren't able to get out and do anything. Again, majority of our families are single parents, and what I'm finding is about 30% of our single moms have lost their jobs, so they're now also without income on top of that with COVID. So we want to be able to rent out the movie theater, drive in. They'll be able to come free of charge, watch a movie. It'll be safe. They'll be able to stay confined in their car, social distance, and then we'll have a fun family-friendly movie where they can just have an evening and just enjoy themselves and be able to get out of the house, do something different. So, and that'll be for, even if you got kids with profound disabilities, they'll be able to come and enjoy. So those are all things that we're going to do here coming up. So we're a little busy planning, but if you're interested in being part of the virtual tours, let me know. We'd love to have you.
All right. So once again, Doc is just sitting back, not doing much.
Exactly.
So SOAR,
Yeah, I'm bored.
yeah, SOAR, SOAR Special Needs .org.
Org. Yep.
Yeah. And so you can check out, you can contact Doc that way. And Catherine just put it in the chat here, sourcespecialneeds.org. Bronwyn commented that she loves in-person deliveries. I think any of us that have done them, yes, it is so much fun. So we've talked about, so Doc delivered t-shirts that were part of like the registration fee for your camp. There's been sidewalk talking. Let's see, I've delivered, for Mother's Day, I delivered like little potted flower plants. Lawn signs, we're talking lawn signs. What are some other just in-person drop-off deliveries? What are some other ideas? Because I think a lot of us would love to hear them. Julie.
One of the things that we did was a movie box. So they went to Redbox, I guess, and rented movies. I'll talk to the parents ahead of time to make sure there was an appropriate movie for their family. And then in the box was also some microwave popcorn and those big movie candy bars that you can get, and a few other little trinkets that were appropriate for that particular age family. But most of that was the adult special needs people that the families that we went to, and that was a huge hit, a movie box.
So the movie was actually a rental, did you say?
Yeah, they actually rented a physical movie that I guess it was a DVD, I don't know, and put it in the box. So would that make sense? Yeah.
Okay. Fun. And I know, so Angel that was on here last week talked about the summer packs, the summer bags that they did. And so she did email me what was included. So, and I think we kind of talked about it last week, but Sylvia, do you have anything to say about the summer packs?
Except that they were excitedly received, as our buddies were instructed to drop and run. However, the pictures that I got back from them did not suggest that they dropped and ran. And I had to send out an email that says that was not the conversation that we had. But they were very excited. The kids were excited. I got a phone call back from one of the parents where the sibling of the child that we support, because all of them come, excitedly talked about how we knew exactly what she wanted and what she needed, and the sunglasses were great, and all the little things that we put in the bag. And I'm sure they've used everything, and now it's time to send something to them again.
Okay.
But this month we're doing a collage note to them that has all of their pictures. Like I don't have, I do, maybe I can show it. So all of their pictures are in this, and on the front of it, it says that tells them how much we miss them and everything. So this will go in an envelope to them with a coloring activity and a cut and paste kind of an activity that they need to do. So that's our activity for this month.
Nice. Excellent. And in the chat, we're hearing, so Bronwyn delivered pizzas and donuts to families. That's fun. And Allison has done pizza and craft pack pickup, and families love them. And Kathy notes that she does a single parent meal drop off once a month, which that's fantastic too. Yeah, great ideas. So there's the idea of having people come to your church, to your building, and picking up, and you can either, have it doesn't take a lot of volunteers to do that, or you could do a lot of volunteers and make it more of that like parade thing kind of idea, but, or make the deliveries. Al, you have your hand up.
Yeah, we had our second visit in our home, our backyard, from two buddies from Liquid Church. So I think they're making the second round. It was much appreciated again by our son and family. I work with two Young Life clubs, actually three, but we had an event last week where some of our 14 to 22-year-olds drove up to a site and they threw water balloons at some of our helpers and things like that. So they came to a place, a central location, and they did that. This week and next week, there are camps. Young Life Capernaum, because of COVID, basically you cannot do a typical Young Life camp. However, we're doing online camps this week and next week, Tuesday through Thursday, I think 10 to 2:30 online. In both weeks, there is an event. This week it's Wednesday in New York, where the students will drive to a location, to a church, and there'll be a snack bar. So we'll distance and all that, but they will come, we'll gather together and see them, and vice versa. And next week in New Jersey, we're doing the same thing on Thursday.
Okay, great, thank you. So you participate in this as a leader, not as a family, correct? Like this is, because JP's not old enough for Capernaum, right?
Yeah, Young Life is a volunteer leader. Mhm.
Okay, okay. And about how many volunteers would you say are participating in these gatherings?
Looks like there were about 8 to 10 last week. For the camps, I'm not quite sure yet. I got a phone message today, so we'll find out. I'm not quite sure, but hopefully at least 12 in both places, at least, I hope.
Okay, great. Anybody else? If not, I have a topic. Oh, so Allison's asking, Al, what was on your snack bar?
The snack bar is this Wednesday. It's like ice cream without nuts, and I mean, nothing you can be allergic to, the basic stuff. I'm not quite sure. There's some ice cream though, I heard, and I wasn't there, but and some candy and some really unhealthy stuff, fun stuff. But it was much appreciated, I guess, from the photos I saw.
Okay. And I know like how to serve things is kind of an issue, but I've seen some creative ways people have been doing that. I mean, mostly it's just setting up that, like, even if it's putting a couple tables between the server and the person that's getting the food, just so that they're not on top of each other. Jennifer says in the chat that they've delivered meals, boxes of cookies for families. They've also done a volunteer parade. So they got to drive by our site that is now open for the adult program, drive by birthday celebrations where they provided cookies, and they're continuing to offer respite 2 days a week for some of their students with significant challenges. So Jennifer, is that, is the respite in person? Like it's actual in the home kind of thing?
No, we're actually doing it at the church. We have taken every safety precaution that we can. You know, and I'm going to be really honest with you guys, even though we have the mask rule here, Doc, don't judge me. Our requirement has been that they had to walk in with a mask. And that usually was ripped off the minute they walked in. But, you know, then we saw parents struggling so much with that according to the CDC guidelines, you know, certain people can be exempt. So we're following under that. And starting next week, we will allow some of the students to come in without a mask. We limit it to like 3 because we have 3 rooms that we can separate them in. We have 2 staff per student plus me or my assistant who supervise the program while it's going on. We are wearing the face shields. They can read our lips. They can see our expressions, which sometimes means a lot more than the words do. You know, we do extensive cleaning. We do a 3-hour shift, then we close down for an hour to do cleaning, and then we have another 3-hour shift And then I guess like our facilities department kind of bombs so the whole wing at the end of the day after we leave. So will somebody get sick? They might, but here's the deal. God has called us to take risk. And we felt like with the desperation of some of our families that it was worth the risk to be able to serve these folks. So.
All right. Excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else?
I had a question about fall planning, if that doesn't like mess up your agenda
go
too much. Okay. So again, here in California, most every school is starting distance learning, at least in this region, like up through the Bay Area and down in LA County too. And so what people are doing here is a lot of parents are forming these like learning pods. So they're trying to get with other families and like hire someone to teach their kids and all this stuff.
Remember?
1 second.
No, but I'm gonna go to swim.
I know, 1 second. Sorry. Someone needed something. And so they're doing these pods. And so what is rapidly happening is that people, who either cannot afford to hire a teacher or people, their children have IEP and disabilities and all these things, they're getting pushed further to the margins. And so, as a church, as me and my job and as a parent of kids that kind of fall in that marginalized area, we're like, okay, what is the role of the church and what can we do, as families are so isolated and this kind of like educational inequity is happening around us. I don't know if that's like super prevalent in other parts of the country, but for here, it is. And so I'm like, well, what does fall look like given the fact that everyone is home again and there's so much inequity in like what people are experiencing, because some kids will be able to like join these pods because their parents can like pay for them and all these things and they could hire a really good teacher. And then some kids, they're like single mom, essential worker, and they're going to be like with grandma distance learning, and grandma might like not be able to do a whole lot. So I don't know like if anyone else has kind of encountered this with their ministry or just like what to do and how to serve. I don't know.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. I've actually read about what's going on with the pods in your area. I know for some of us, our school districts are still like haven't 100%, like the school district that my kids go to has not 100% said what we're doing yet. So I think not everybody knows that they're all online yet or knows exactly what's going on. Yeah, that's a tough one. Does anybody want to talk about what's going on in their area or how we as churches can help kind of bridge the gaps when there are these inequities happening?
Can I ask a question of the group? So I live in a suburb of Richmond, Virginia. There are a ton of homeschool co-ops in my area. Lots and lots of homeschooling parents, that don't use co-ops. There's, for older students, I think once they get to be 16, but even 15 in some cases, if the student tests in, they can go to community college and finish high school that way. Are those kinds of options available in your that maybe some of the solution to getting churches to talk with homeschool co-ops that are already in place or that are forming, not necessarily at these pods where they go hire, an individual teacher or a couple of teachers, but, maybe utilizing what's already there, because homeschool co-ops in our area anyway are very affordable for families. It's definitely a good alternative for families who are looking for a Christian type education, but can't afford private school tuition, that sort of thing. So I'm just throwing that out there to see what that's like in everybody else's area.
Yeah, I can jump in on that. So first, I'm in Kansas, and the two largest school districts in our area have announced that they're going to go back in session, have students in the classroom coming back, but parents do have the choice if they want to do virtual and other things with that. I've talked with several of our families who are going to opt to pull out, and they're talking about doing the pods, just like Bronwyn's talking about. And some of them have even contacted me to see if I know anyone who might be willing to teach or do something like that. It so happens we do have one of those co-ops that you're talking about. And she's an amazing lady. And I think her organization now has actually kind of gone national. And it's actually a special needs homeschool co-op just for that. And she's phenomenal. She's actually going to be speaking at the Wonderfully Made conference just on that topic, and working with families with that. But I've been referring everyone to her and her organization. And if she's not able to help you, she knows everybody in every state and is a great, fantastic resource to hook everybody up with. And so that's what I've been doing here with when families are looking for something. I've been directing to her, and I'm blanking on her name, and I'll have to get the information. I can send it to you. But I think it's just basically special needs homeschool co-op. I'll look up her name here and put it in the chat.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I know that I found out today there's already a Facebook group forming, or it's formed already, of families from our church who are going to choose the homeschooling option this year. So, we're talking like kind of in the children's ministry population. So we're already talking about, how that might impact, are these families then that do not plan on stepping foot in the building once we're reopened? I don't know. Yeah, Chris.
So I'm in Atlanta, and as anybody knows anything about Atlanta in Georgia, it's crazy here. And then on top of that, I'm in Gwinnett County, which is like one of the top hot spots in the nation. This is my one county. And so that's where 2 of our 3 campuses are here for the church. And so, but if you look at, there's one very large special needs Facebook page for parents all over Georgia. And it's a nonstop, almost every hour of the day, parents talking about what they're going to do. It's honestly, there's like arguing back and forth about, because I think there's a rule in the state of Georgia where if you do your teachers, if you do like a kind of a conglomerate of families and stuff like that, the teachers have to be certified, and you can't just have a bunch of kids who do homeschooling come in there and have one mom kind of governor off. So there's all kind of rules that go with all that. And in Gwinnett County, they just last week decided that they're going to do 100% digital online. And so the parents are still trying to figure out, I think they're actually having discussions of whether or not they're going to be able to open up in person for special needs or not. And so there still remains to be seen. They backed off the start date another week. And so it's a hot mess, to be honest with you. And it's tough. And I've got parents who are teachers, single mom. In my ministry alone, I've got 2 moms who are educators, are single moms, and they have special needs children. And so it's like, what do you, and they're special needs educators, and they're like, I got nothing. And so, but I know a lot of people that I know of, especially in Northern Atlanta, are some who have some of the kids who are higher functioning. They are pooling their resources together financially and whatnot to get some people who are, and they're just not good. They're just going for it. They're like, at this point, nobody has any strong answers. So it's better to do it. It kind of goes back on the premise. And when I was in the Marine Corps, it's easier to ask for forgiveness and permission. And so they're just like, hey, we're going to do it. And our kids are going to get taught well, and we're going to feel comfortable where they're at. And God will take care of things in the end. So,
yeah, there's just not easy answers all around.
Oh,
Julie?
no.
So I wanted to mention a resource for these families that are thinking about doing official homeschooling as opposed to distance learning with the school system. A good resource is the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, HSLDA. And you can find out, they will give you all kinds of information about all the different states and what the rules are. And hopefully some of those will get bent because of the COVID situation. So I don't know what will happen with all of that, but HSLDA will be a good resource for those families.
So as far as, what does this kind of learning environment mean for, ministry leaders like us? there may be new opportunities to reach families through this. And we may need to just keep kind of brainstorming ways that we can continue to provide faith training for kids, in different types of environments using different, I don't know, we just need to keep brainstorming because this is a whole new, I don't know, it's potentially a new audience. We could potentially reach more families. If you think about it, if families are starting to form these little pods or homeschool groups, there may be some unchurched families in there that we could be reaching. So I don't know, just stuff to think about.
No, thank you. I appreciate all you guys' feedback on that for sure, because I've been thinking on it. And here the public schools are pretty excellent. So most families do elect to go to public school. It's like a free and great education. And so this is like brand new for most people. And it is definitely the dominant, if I think about the families that, we're serving in, children's ministry, youth ministry, inclusion, this is definitely the dominant topic that is like eating up, it's like why people aren't sleeping at night. And so I appreciate all the perspectives, and thanks, Beth, for letting me jump in with a question.
Yeah, sure. No, very, very timely. And, even if for those of us who aren't in California and maybe haven't heard about the whole pods thing, this is an incredibly stressful time for parents, regardless of, what age kid you have. Parents are stressed out right now, and for good reason. And I don't know if we can just think of ways we can continue to support families during an incredibly stressful time. I just think it's really important. Yeah, Chris.
So I don't know if I'm asking a question here that's already been asked 1,500 times. You'll have to forgive me, but I need to ask it because I just literally got like a knock on the door from my boss, and he's like, okay. Hey, so we need to look at opening up next weekend. And I'm like,
seriously?
So our church has been back open. Our church has been back up at a minimal capacity for 3 weeks now. And so for the whole church, except for special needs, because I told him I wasn't ready. I have a special needs son as well, who's got like heart conditions and stuff like that. He's an adult, but we only serve through high school in our ministry. And so, but we've had some kids who are coming from our special needs ministry anyway, and they're getting buddied out, who typically would not be buddied out. And so he's like, hey, what is it going to look like? And so to give you an idea, we're only allowing 650 people in our church. We're a very large church. We have an average weekend attendance of about 8,000 to 10,000 people. And so right now we're only having 650 people per service in our sanctuary that holds 18, so about 1/3 capacity. So I guess my question is for those of you who are here and listening, have you opened up your ministries? And if so, at what capacity? If you could just like either put it in the chat or really quick say 10%, 20%, 50%, well, your capacity. If you've opened up, what kind of percentages have you opened up at?
So Chris, I can tell you very few of us have actually opened up for Sunday morning. Our churches may be open, but very few. I think Doc can speak to it, but most of us at this point are online. So Doc does not work at a church, but he has worked at a church. And
I've talked on the phone a little bit,
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, I was just sending you a note there, but it really varies on the part of the country and everywhere you're at. I can speak right now first for my church. They have opened. They currently are open for everything. They've opened their nursery as well. So everything is open, but it's not full capacity. Everything's by reservation with that. The special needs is open as well. But they're doing some interesting things with that to help. And actually, I just wrote an article on opening how children's ministry and special needs ministry should open and welcome families back. They'll be coming out in the next Kids Matter magazine for children's ministry coming up. But one of the things that they have done is even putting hula hoops on the ground, taping them down on the ground, and
Yep.
and that's where the kid has to stay in, and then
Sure.
put those 6 feet apart to help social distance with that. But for the most part, it's been, for our church, they've said no more than 50 kids total is what
Right.
they've done, and they're only meeting in a large room. They're not even meeting in small classrooms yet, so they're just doing in the big kids worship area. So I think it more depends on what your children's ministry is doing or what your student ministry is doing, what kind of rooms they are, and kind of go from that route. I'd work right alongside with the children's ministry and student ministry and all that. And
Sure.
Chris, I'm happy to talk with you more detail with that. You can give me a holler anytime.
Cool. Yeah. And one thing that I saw a friend of mine did who's in south of Atlanta he runs a smaller ministry for children at a church, is they gave every child, they literally handed them a raft, like a round tube raft, and that is your seat for the day. And so the kids walk around and they sit and they're like lounging in the floor, and they're spaced apart. So, you got about a foot on either side, and then you space those apart again, you're getting towards social distancing. And so it was a really cool picture to see about 20 kids in rafts, and they're all rubber, or plastic, so they can be wiped down and cleaned. And so it was a fun way to keep the kids socially distant. So
more fun than hula hoops, but yeah, that's cool. I can tell you that this morning I was in a couple hour staff meeting where our children's ministry staff was talking about what this is going to look like when we do reopen, maybe September or whenever it is, and we don't know. One of the issues that we're having is our church also has a weekday preschool. And for those of you who are familiar with weekday preschool, there are there are some very strict guidelines from the state on how those operate during COVID. And those same classrooms do get used on Sunday mornings, or some of the same, families may attend the preschool that also attend our children's ministry on Sundays. And so we almost have to have the same guidelines in place, or else it just doesn't make sense. You work so hard to keep everything safe for preschool, you can't relax those rules or protocols for Sunday morning. So it's incredibly difficult to come up with what Sunday morning is going to look like. So yes, there's a lot going. Participants responding mornings look like, and pretty much across the board, everybody is only online at this point. And Catherine, if you've been looking to, maybe shout it out if that's not the case. I can tell you one thing that, our church, our leadership has already said, we're going to continue doing things online, even when things are back in person, which I really appreciate. So for instance, we've just started a mental health support group, which, I'm very thankful that our church is moving in that direction. That is currently, thumbs up from Catherine on that one. That is being offered in person and online at the same time. So our church is setting up some Zoom rooms. And I think that's a great thing for churches to think about, so that you can have these types of meetings and gatherings, socially distanced in person, but then also allowing that interaction for folks that can't be in the building. All right, let's see. All right, Catherine, did I miss anything? Actually, oh gosh, it's already 10 till. Okay. Catherine, are you prepared to tell people what we have going on in the next week or two? Do you have that handy?
Sure. Let me just look it up so I can explain it right. So, and maybe we can quickly go over this question in a minute, but we're planning to do Idea Share again next week and then move to every other week. But maybe we can chat about that. And then on Wednesday the 5th, not this week, we're taking a break this Wednesday, but on Wednesday the 5th, we're going to be talking with Janet Williams, who is, she is a lady that I met at the end of last year, works for Autism Speaks, and she's a Black woman who has a child with autism, And gosh, when we met, we had a very long conversation about just all the struggles she has had to try to find a place, you know, in a church or a ministry, you know, that's ready to welcome her family. And so she's going to share some of those experiences with our audience in this webinar next Wednesday, August the 5th. And her point is really that the Black church has a critical role to play in helping people with mental health type needs, you know, whether it's anxiety, depression, mental health kinds of things, or more what I think of as traditional special needs ministry for that child that is on the spectrum, or even adults on the spectrum. So you can go to keyministry.org/events and register for that webinar. We will also be streaming it on our social media. So, you know, definitely check back and, you know, to definitely go check that out and register for the webinar if you're interested. I think it's going to be, you know, a really great conversation with Janet. So,
can I talk about the August 19th one?
I'm sorry?
Can I talk about the August 19th one?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I think a lot of you know that every month on the third Wednesday of the month, we do a forum just like this, and it's the Disability Ministry Video Roundtable. And our topic for August, so it's going to be on Wednesday, August 19th, is your website as accessible as your ministry? And here's what we're going to be talking about, kind of two things. So one is, do you have the information on your website that families are looking for? So what should your website contain, whether you're a church or whether you're a parachurch organization? What should be on there? What kind of information are families seeking, especially at a time where maybe they can't come in your building, or just preparing families for coming to your church? So we're going to talk about that. And then we're also going to talk about some of the tools and techniques that can make your website more accessible, perhaps for somebody with a visual impairment. So your website, and a little bit about social media too. So I'm learning, and we're going to make sure that there are people who can give some really good firsthand feedback on you know, what some of the limitations of websites are and how we can make those better. So I'm really excited about it. I think it would be a great one to invite your church's webmaster or whoever does your websites, because I think this is really important that we make that, you know, the information that we're sharing, that it's accessible for everyone. So that's on the 19th, keyministry.org/events. And I think that's all we have on the schedule right now. We have some other really good things coming up. Or do we have another one posted?
No, I was just going to say, we've got one in the works for August 12th, but we don't have it on the schedule yet. Yeah, so just mark your calendar for that as well.
Yeah, the first Wednesday in September is going to be good too, but we don't have it up there yet. So, okay. All right, we are getting at the top of the hour. I'm just looking. All right, Chris, we will be praying for you as you meet with your leadership team.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, everything, just really quickly, but things you have to think about, you know, we're talking about not allowing parents in the entire children's wing, period.
Yep.
So how does pick up and drop off, what does that look like? I mean, these are all things that you have to kind of have figured out.
Yeah, no, we got that figured out. Because it's only there's only one doorway between our doorway and the main check-in area. And so basically the parents would come in, and I'll have one volunteer buddy with one kid and turn around and take it right there. So no adults are we kind of got that figured out. It's just and we're about to build two-story expansions for special needs at 2 different campuses. So I'm like, my brain's going,
wow.
Yeah, it's about to get crazy. But that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. It is a good thing. All right. Any last minute questions or comments? All right. Does everybody know about the Facebook group? This we call it SNAD, but it's a Special Needs and Disability Ministry Leaders Facebook group. Is everybody aware of that? If not, you can Google it or go to the Key Ministry Facebook page. There's a link from there. But you can Doc's question about the tours, that's posted in there. Dr. Steve Gersovich, who's the president and founder of Key Ministry, has posted a question in there that he'd love your feedback on. So, you know, I invite you to join the group if you haven't already. And, you know, it's a great place to ask questions and just have, you know, continue these conversations. So, all right. Well, thank you all for being here this week. Some great reports, great questions. And Chris, I hope you'll come back next week and tell us how your meeting went.
Yeah, no, next week or 2 weeks?
Well, I think we are meeting this coming week.
Okay.
And then we're going to every other week. Is that's right?
I'll be back if I can. I should have the bandwidth, but I'll let you know. It's gonna be nuts. There's all kind of
All right. Okay, so we'll get this recording up and look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks, everybody.